The main change to the fund's exposure over the last 12 months would be a reduction in our energy overweight and a reduction in our mining underweight, as we've transitioned out of more defensive energy names like ExxonMobil into some of the more fundamentally attractive mining stories that we see. Coupled with that, there's also been a shift from our larger cap into smaller and mid-cap space, such that a year ago you would have seen the portfolio around 50% weighted to the top 10 names. Now it's about 42% in the top 10 names, and that money has transitioned into what we call the acorns and the saplings of our space, the higher growth companies with very strong growth prospects. Our favorite holdings I'll break down into what we call the acorns, the saplings, and the oak trees. In the acorn space, we're very excited about a company called Mag Silver, which in partnership with its 12% shareholder Fresnillo is developing what we consider to be one of the best undeveloped silver resources on the planet. They've also increased the size of that resource in the last 12 months through the discovery of a deeper zone called Valdecañas Deep, which will take them from around 15 million tons of high-grade 800-gram gold equivalent per ton material to something 50% higher than that by our back of the envelope calculations. That means the mine is going to be bigger and more profitable than we previously thought. In the sapling space, we're very excited about a company called Petra, listed in the London market. Petra owns the Cullinan mine, which is one of the oldest and most prolific diamond mines in the world. It produced the largest diamond ever found, the 3,000 carat Cullinan, which is currently in the royal scepter. That mine has been rejuvenated with a big investment by Petra, which has stretched their balance sheet, but also will position themselves very well for the next 2 decades to double production and halve their costs, which will generate great cash flow and hopefully a good dividend stream for investors. We've actually recently invested in a couple of interesting small cap companies. One would be a company called Burdine, which has a 100% owned project in Mongolia called Bayan Khundai. It's got a very seasoned team. They've been there for over 20 years. They also have a strong Mongolian focused board, but more importantly for us is the geology. And what we see from their initial drill holes is very high grade, continuous, wide zones, which are near surface and have good metallurgy, but more importantly, district scale potential, which means that this could be very big. A second interesting company that we've recently invested in a very different space, quite a unique company, is called Metro Mining. That is a bauxite project in northern Queensland with an IRR of over 80% and a 17-year mine life in something that is in quite high demand, bauxite, which is then turned into alumina and ultimately aluminium. As I mentioned, it's quite rare to find these sort of companies in the bauxite space. We're quite excited by it and recently put quite a chunk of money into it. We don't really consider miners to be a great dividend play. The reason for that is that the level of dividends is ultimately a function of commodity prices, which themselves are quite cyclical. So investors that are seeking dividend payments may find themselves somewhat disappointed by investing in the miners. We tend to cherish growth and low costs more than we do dividend payouts. My fund management story started when I was 15 at school and the water utilities were privatising. I ended up using my pocket money to buy some Thames Water shares, and the rest is history. My passion for the sector grew out of my university days. I can't think of a luckier job to have, frankly, one that spans geopolitics, science, the dynamics of markets, human behavior, and I feel very lucky to be able to do it. As far as where ideas come from, the various sources, that includes conversations with my colleagues primarily, filtering for various ideas. We try to be contrarian and look in the less covered territory for stocks that are unloved, where we can see catalysts for change. We talk to the sell side, we go to conferences, the list goes on and on. But ultimately, it's a collegiate process. We discuss everything internally and come up with the best ideas that will generate good returns for our investors over a long-term horizon.